to the Brampton Health Forum, session number 3, organized by Canada, India, USA Development Forum, or CIUDF. We'll start with a brief introduction of the organization, and then we'll bring in the speakers one by one. So, Canada, India, USA Development Forum is an Ontario, Canada-based not-for-profit organization working to promote bilateral and trilateral relations between Canada, India, and USA. CIUDF organizes events, conferences, and speaker series lectures with prominent corporate and political leaders in all 3 countries for ideas exchange and knowledge sharing. The forum recently opened up for memberships, and 20 companies and professionals have joined as members in the last 3 months. And happy to say that we now have members in GTA as well as in Ottawa, Montreal, and Vancouver, with the goal to raise the membership to 300 or so by December 31st next year. CIUDF also hosts virtual member meetings, and once the pandemic measures are eased, we will host monthly brunch meetings for members and sponsors. I am the founder, president, and CEO of this organization. And for more information, you can visit our website, Canada, India, USA Development Forum.com. And these are some of the activities that we do. We do an annual Canada, India Insight conference. We also host an annual Canada, India, USA trilateral conference, which is, both of these events are usually attended by the high commissioners, cabinet ministers, federally, provincially, presidents and CEOs of large corporate companies. We also do several business leaders roundtables, political leaders roundtables, membership expansion, which I just spoke about. We also do several member networking events, both virtual and in person. Consul General's roundtables between all 3 countries, Canada, India, US. Education forum, which we just started 2 months back with colleges and universities in all 3 countries, as well as this health forum that we are right now participating in. This is more focused towards Brampton and the pandemic. We also have a Canada, India Insight e-publication, as well as several webinars and virtual sessions on current affairs and issues of importance. So today's health forum, let me recognize our sponsors before we bring in the speakers. Today's health forum, Brampton Health Forum, is supported by Advance Brampton Fund of the City of Brampton, and the matching funding support is provided by Process Research Ortec, Truly Financial, Blue Umbrella Financial Services, Prince Life Sciences, and Tangentia. So with that, let us bring the first speaker of the day, Jayesh Menon. Jayesh Menon is a senior advisor for investment attraction with Economic Development Division at the City of Brampton. He helps international businesses to find a soft landing within Brampton and provide a single contact of concierge services involving business attraction, further facilitating city team on development, support, and advocacy. So over to you, Jayesh bhai.
Yeah, thank you, Vipulji, very much for this opportunity, and I sincerely thank the promoters of Canada, India, US Development Forum for inviting me on behalf of the Brampton Economic Development. Appreciate your conducting this health forum sessions, educating on specific information that is relevant to the residents, members. At the same time, it provides a wonderful networking opportunity. Sincerely thank Vipul and Tejas for this opportunity. And if I may request Tejas to just share the presentation, please. I had a couple of slides I had mustered up in terms of, giving you an insight of what it means in terms of the city having taken this initiative in terms of working day in, day out, as you put across, immensely hard in terms of making sure that we are there, we are visible, we are there to basically be a part of our residents, our community, and make sure that everything goes well, keep the city safe, and at the same time, make sure the community thrives, like, So just a sort of a disclaimer, I did mention that I represent ECDEV, so I'm just a voice as a spokesperson. Any specific questions or further information that you may want to reach me out, I am more than happy to share my email to the organizers and, of course, connect you with our coordinates. So as we speak about COVID at this point of time, first and foremost thing, it's something like, if you take today's status quo, it's freedom, hope, and relief. That's what the COVID vaccine has been in terms for me particularly, so maintaining those safety protocols, etc. We are now gradually getting into those typical new normalcy, and that's been a great nationwide vaccination drive has definitely smashed expectations, and therefore we within the province or our city, we are getting there. But if you may just recap the stress and the traumatization that we have gone through, particularly I do recall connecting with some of my friends and some of their families. They've gone through that pain and loss. Many of us have not seen their extended family faces in person without a mask. So thanks to all for this virtual platform, at least we are all connected. Brampton, like any other city within Canada, of course, had gone through grappling with the challenges of COVID-19. And a very important reminder that many small businesses definitely have a long way to go towards recovery. And we know small businesses are among the most affected by current COVID crisis. The pandemic has been an economic firestorm, and it has impacted so many of our lives, community, and businesses. Businesses across our city are tackling the challenges involved in adapting the new normal. And let me highlight the city led by our Mayor Patrick Brown and councillors, city staff, in consultation with our stakeholders and partners from province and federal, along with our volunteers and private institutions and many other charitable institutions, we have all come together during this calamity with a firmness and provided all that required assistance, and managing that catastrophic moment by daily updates and action plans, working immensely, as I said, to make sure that we come back to normalcy. So when I put across our economic recovery strategy, if I may request Tejas to get into the next slide, please. The economic recovery strategy was guided by Mayor's COVID-19 Economic Support Task Force and has worked to coordinate recommendations and measures to support business relief efforts in Brampton through COVID-19 pandemic approach phase. The task force actually included members from federal, provincial governments, the Brampton Board of Trade, the Downtown Brampton BIA, Chamber of Commerce, as well as representatives from Brampton's business community. So as you see, the recovery strategy aims to bring resiliency and competitive advantage to Brampton's economy as it moves forward. These goals will be achieved by advancing immediate and longer-term actions in line with the strategy's 4 cornerstones, as you see here: innovation, technology, and entrepreneurship, which is fully adopting an innovation technology transformation and capitalizing on entrepreneurship through initiatives like expansion of Brampton Entrepreneur Center offerings and officially launching and growing the Downtown Innovation District. Investment seizing opportunities to attract and retain investment include the support local campaign, virtual foreign direct investment missions, etc. While infrastructure, of course, we are talking about expediting some of the pending infrastructure projects, art, culture, and tourism, continuing towards the digital innovation as the city reimagines the future of cultural engagement and support the art and culture sector. So when we talk about the response of pandemic, from beginning to, I mean, when we say beginning last year, March 2020 to now, we know that we have gone through various phases. And it's very important that I highlight that, the task force consulted every other time with its committee and figured out what would be the possible and available resources that can be leveraged and provide that typical kind of an economic assistance and funding to support Brampton-based businesses. Retaining, regaining jobs, supporting, as I mentioned, small businesses, helping our businesses to reopen and operate safely. This has been the aim. And that's the reason it's very clear and been reiterated time and again that it's that resiliency and competitive advantage Brampton has, and that will be time and again made sure that it's there as far as our businesses are concerned. So if I may highlight the next slide, please. So this is how things of recovery that are been shaping up as far as the city goes about. One of the important aspects is the communication has been very effective. And I would definitely like to share a very important news about the key initiative as a part of the economic recovery work. That is, the City of Brampton, RIC Center, Communitech, and Province have worked together to provide Brampton small to medium businesses with free COVID-19 rapid screening kits. Now, the rapid test kits are a typical kind of an additional screening method that can help stop the spread of COVID in workplaces. Organizations can test on site and get results in about 15 minutes without shipping to a lab. Now, this opportunity is open to organizations with 150 or fewer employees. The largest businesses can order their kits directly from the Province kits in Brampton, and that will be distributed through our Brampton Emergency Management Office. So I would definitely put in the email link and the website so that you may want to reach out the Brampton Entrepreneur Center team. They would be more than happy to reach you out. So this is one thing. And when we touched upon the Brampton Entrepreneur Center, it's very important for me to highlight about the kind of an assistance or the support that they have been providing, kind of an one-on-one support, and then kind of an online kind of a reorientation for small businesses. Of course, when we talk about the economic impact, accessing grants and financing, COVID-19 business resources, pivoting strategies, business referrals, and current regulatory landscape has been very important. And that BEC has been time and again been there for our businesses. And in fact, in 2020 itself, BEC provided almost 236,000 in grant funding to small businesses through Starter Company Plus and Summer Company. They engaged almost 10,000 participants through 220 virtual events and seminars in 2020. And of course, have provided one-on-one consultation to more than almost around 2,000 client consultations, So organizing a half a dozen tele-town halls for all sizes of businesses within different sectors. So this has been very important. Again, City of Brampton small business advocacy has been there to support in terms of what we call it as Canada's Emergency Commercial Rent Assistance Program. And this has been also great. Business license renewal date extensions had been done. The new date for license renewal is set in for August 30, 2021. Again, on City of Brampton's deferral of taxes, you may want to reach out. The program is meant to help residential business property owners who may require payment flexibility for 2021 tax year only. So there are various ways and means that has been happening, and happy at some point of time to share this point of reference or the links. And I would basically take a pause over here and maybe rejoin in terms of any specific questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Jayesh Bhai. That was a very good presentation actually. Must have provided some vital information to the business owners here. And we will now move to the next speaker. Let's reach out to our new member in Vancouver, Gunit, and then come back to Brampton. Um, right. So Gunit Singh is a technology enthusiast and co-founder of a digital tech media startup with experience in finance and media. And his website is barnabydigitalmedia.com. So with that brief introduction, uh, please welcome Gunit Singh. And he has also just beaten Corona as well, if I may say,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
He has a
Thank you.
experience as well.
Sure. Thank you, Vipul and Tejas, for organizing this platform. I also thank all the members who are presented today. And yeah, that was quite a journey. I was in India and then had to, we were got in with the infected with the COVID, and we survived that part. So it has been quite a vital part of the whole process here so far. And yeah, it's been challenging. So we're back in Canada and happy to be back in a nicest place on earth, and happy to be back at the place where things are starting opening up. Things have been since I've come back. Now the BC has opened up. The gatherings have opened up. BC businesses are back, getting back there. I've been going out for the last 2 days since after my isolation. I've been seeing all the businesses and the restaurants and opening up. Now, the BC's economy has hit hard with this COVID and pandemic, restrictions, of course. BC has been big on tourism. There's lots of restaurants, hospitality. It's a big business. I think a data said that there was around $20 billion that the province has lost because of tourism. And it will be a great thing for the economy here with the pandemic restrictions that have been opened up, and people are able to go back in, dine in, and do gatherings. And I think July 1st will be the fourth step, so there will be more normalcy now, and that would be an impactful part of the whole journey. Now, being part of a technology and media company, we offer trainings. So something that has been really in a demand now, that a lot of businesses, a lot of skilled workers have been going back. So something what I've noticed in the COVID pandemic is that a lot of people have given up on what they were doing before, or had a time to sit down and rethink how the life has been and what the skills do they have. And a lot of people have started learning new skills. Well, for last year and a half, things have been closed, so a lot of people have started learning new skills, and we see that a lot of people have been able to go through that whole journey of being into one career and then suddenly changing new careers and learning new skills. Some people have gone back to school, some people have taken up, and even school were hit hard. Like, there was no in class trainings or in school sessions, so a lot of people have taken online trainings and online sessions to get new skills, and that would help them coming back to the economy and maybe identify the new way the structure will run out. Because something we have noticed in the last 18 months, that even when the businesses were shut down, even when the gatherings were limited, there were still businesses that were running. A lot of businesses have gone online. A lot of small businesses have been affected deeply, deeply, deeply because of this pandemic restrictions. But what I've been noticing is that a lot of businesses have also getting accustomed to the idea that there's a new way of doing things that is technology based, and people are getting themselves prepared for that part. Even yesterday I was in a meeting, and then somebody had a store here, and they were bathroom and pipe fitting store, and the person was asking me how they can come up and open the business online and open up the e-commerce business of their own store, how to bring up their store online. So we had a good discussion about it. Even a small store, like it was not a small store, it was just one area. It was serving one local area, but now they want to go online. And something that people have been thinking about what is going to happen after 5 years or 2 years. And I think technology has been a big push for that. and people have been realizing. Of course, hospitality and restaurant businesses have to be run the way they are. They really enjoy the comfort of people coming together and dining in, and that won't change with technology unless we can download food on over the internet. Not going to happen, and we don't want that either. So we want people to come back and enjoy the time between 5 people or 10 people coming in the groups together. Vancouver is all about beaches. There's so many people are coming back on the beaches, and that is just a good part of people because it does help people get their health. Mental health is a big part of this whole process, because being 18 months locked down in this whole apartments or the houses, people, yes, of course, they have been missing their families. I know somebody, their parents live in Kamloops, which is 300 kilometers away from Vancouver, 3-hour drive, and they couldn't even see their family for Christmas. And it is very depressing for a lot of people. So I'm really, really glad that, people are able to do so again. And yeah, I mean, mental health of people have always been, has been hit the hardest here, I would say. And this has just been, a pandemic has been, has a lot of effect. And, if some of the effects that we know right now that we can see in front of our own eyes is there, but we don't know what's going to happen after 2 years. Like, people take time to understand what the things are. And so we would see continuing effects for the next 2 years of this whole pandemic. And this will be something that that will be keenly watched by people and health experts around the world as well, especially in the areas of physical and mental health. I have a lot of my networking and my friends who work in nutrition, who work in psychology counseling, and they have been bombarded with calls. They have been running sessions on various platforms, not even just online, on these workshops, Clubhouse. And there has been a steady rise of people who wanted to understand how and what they can do to move and things ahead. Being from a technology company ourselves, we have been we have been bombarded with people getting calls and understanding what the technology can do for their businesses, what can do for personally for them. And there has been a meaningful impact on that. Yes, of course, things have been hard for them, learning new skills. Somebody who has been running a store for the last 30 years in certain way now has to accept new ways, new realities of doing things. But also that means that it's a new learning curve. Could be a larger learning curve for people, but that's how I think people will be getting accustomed to understanding the new ways of doing things, new ways of bookkeeping, new ways of ordering things, inventories, getting things out of the board. Like, all these things have been benefited by the way of technology has evolved. I have a friend who worked at one of the largest banks in Canada. I'm not going to name on this forum right now the bank, but the person is a senior, like super senior manager, and he told me that the projects that were shelved for last 10 years, for next 10 years, have been completed in 18 months. Now, these are automating processes. And he's telling me that he's been busy 18-hour day working, and they had executed all the projects that were shelved for 10 years in 18 months. And this is the Canada's largest bank at this point. And you can imagine that what would have been completed and what we're going to see in the next 2 years, because those implementations are going to happen really soon. A big, compared to the challenges, like, the retail banking, because I've worked in retail banking, the retail banking 2 years earlier was a big staff banking, and now it has been just shrunk to few people, app-based banking. People don't need to go in the bank a lot more often than usual. So those are the things that have been affected. People have lost jobs in certain way, but there are also people who have gained jobs on the other areas as well. So these are the few things that I have seen technology that has affected people. And there's also that people have been connected more than, I mean, they're based on, technology, because the travel restrictions, people have been not able to get out, especially, not on a bad humor side, but there's also a side of, I would say, how the Instagram influencers have lost jobs because they cannot travel anymore, or they can't do a lot of other things anymore. But I think even for people who are big into traveling and who wanted to do all that, I think the new rules for people, the restrictions are lifting up, especially in the developed countries. will help people to get out and do things that would be able to help them gain experiences. Other thing I would wanted to also talk about is that the work from home aspect of people. People who were spending 2 hours of traveling time, especially I've briefly lived in Toronto. I used to I've seen the commute for a lot of people. I have spent some time in downtown Toronto, and I've also seen Mississauga, Brampton. So for people, going back and forth, and now those people who are working from home have been benefited by the restrictions, because now they're able to spend time with their families, and they're able to work from home. They don't have to travel all those time, and those time that they've saved in commuting they've been able to give it to their families, especially for kids, for younger parents who have younger kids, small kids. It's just been a boon for them, especially working from home. And I think the businesses have accepted the new realities, that the work from home culture has also given a lot of people. I mean, there are always questionable facts about productivity. Like we heard about this business that it's a $1 billion company called WeWork, whose CEO said people who do not want to return to work are people who are lazy. And I think I think those facts don't come right, because people who have been because the company relies on people coming back to the offices, right? So it's just what people want. But work from home has definitely affected and helped people in terms of being with the family, and that has given people a lot more I would say productivity in itself, because it does impact their health, and then now they're able to spend time with the kids. I've seen like mothers who are having kids on the lap while being working, right? Or the cats running around in the house, and then they're still able to perform things that they've been assigned to. And that has been really healthy environment for people as well. Uh, the other part that people have been thinking about in terms of strategies of businesses, as that small, like yesterday I was talking to this one person who has a pipe fitting and bathroom store, is thinking about, oh, I want to start an e-commerce store, and I also want to do a lot of animated videos. Can you help me with that? And then the reason why that is that they are accepting the part that there will have to be new ways of doing their business, new marketing things that they have to do, and that is not how they would before, because before they may not even they just open a store in a big mall of foot traffic. People just walk in and they will get enough business, but now that's not going to happen. So they're accepting and they want new ways of reaching out to people and sell more of what they can, especially going online and getting on store orders. So those are I would say, the impact of the businesses and the pandemic has been so far for people. And the big push for tech has helped people. It is, it may be, there can be questions of, whether it's a good or bad, and no one knows that. But of course, people's life have been easier. I have personally seen people, like for example, in the whole 18 months when BC was shut down, people were still able to order restaurant food. People were still able to order groceries online. Now, these are things that never existed before. No, and even for people who didn't wanted to do that, now they got to do it. So I think the part that technology has helped them transition. Like if you study the pandemics before in the last 100 years, technology never existed before as it was at this time, and people have struggled or would have struggled less because of the push for the technology that has been already existing. There has been talks about how the big companies have been benefited than small business, and that's really uh, disheartening to see small businesses and businesses who are not the big corporate houses that have been affected, because in North America 50% of businesses comes from small businesses, and that has definitely been affected. However, people have come across and they have literally started to learn the part that yes, they have to accept this part of technology and get into that game, which will help them survive next 10, 20, 30 years. uh, in terms of in terms of education, people have also accepted the part that technology will help them understand the new ways of realities. They're learning new languages, new skills, and new softwares, and that would help the kids and the few generations coming along as well to learn the new technologies. So in totality, this is, I think, what my experience has been in terms of the pandemic restrictions. I'm happy to take any questions that would come along in the webinar in the future as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it that I have from my side.
Sure. Thank you, Guriji, for
Thank you.
your views and experiences and what you have seen and heard. I'm sure we all agree with these opinions. And I think Tejas just wanted to show another slide before we go to the next speaker. So just to recognize our speakers, our sponsors, because of whom we are able to do this. The Health Forum is supported by Advanced Brampton Fund of the City of Brampton, with the matching funding support provided by Truly Financial, Blue Umbrella Financial Services, Greens Life Sciences, Tangentia, and Process Research, Ortec. So with that, let us bring our next speaker for the day, Mr. Murarilal Thapliyal. Murarilal ji is a very well-known face in Brampton. Anybody living in Brampton, if you don't know him, maybe you have been living under a rock for some time. So he is a very well-known lawyer with his own law firm, Thapliyal and Rai Law Firm at Steels and Tobram in Brampton. He does a lot of charitable work through Thapliyal Foundation Canada here in Canada, and also during the recent COVID crisis in India. His foundation also donated oxygen concentration units to remote villages in Uttarakhand, India. And this is just a brief introduction. We'll find out a lot more, during his presentation. So over to you, Murariralji. After this, we'll go to Sandeep Todi, then Amit Bhai, and then a couple of questions for everyone.
Thank you, Bipulji. Thank you so much, Tejas. Thank you so much, Tejas, for organizing such a wonderful event. Jayesh Bhai, thank you very much. Guneet ji, fantastic explanation about that COVID and the technology. I agree 100% with you. During COVID-19 crisis, there was outbreak at our office and more than 16 staff working, and all of a sudden 12 to 13 staff called one day, all are positive. So it was like really shocking, and I was totally blank what to do now, because the big business volume, how to handle, that was a big challenge for me. And but then again, the technology, so we start calling people that who can help us. From Bell Canada, we moved to Ring Central, remote, then stenography, all remote signing. We never did remote signing till 14 years of law practice. But this COVID taught us a lot to depend on technology. So now we are high tech. Our office is high tech. In world, anywhere in the world, you can sign. You can sit in the beach with your laptop. You can do your closings in Brampton. So nothing is stopping now. So it's a wonderful experience of technology. And I'm a firm believer that technology is the best to deal, to increase, to promote your own business, no matter in which field you are, but technology always will assist every kind of business. So as briefly that Bipul Bhai said that I do charity since many years, more than 14 years now with the sports, youth. I'm president of Canadian School of Cricket Academy, where the small kids start learning to 19 years. I'm a UK Warriors Cricket Club, who are the 4 times champions of Brampton League. We promote Brampton by way of cricket. Then I do charity under Thapliyal Foundation Canada. So as this time with partnering with Care for Cause Foundation Canada, we served and donated 50 oxygen concentrators to the remote villages of India. And I was so delighted to get those small video clips from different villages. It was the last PAC of India-China border. So the doctor from India-China border said, thank you, Thapliyal Foundation Canada. So it is not only the Thapliyal Foundation, its name of Canada is spreading throughout the world. So there were live videos, calls in social media. So there was a boom regarding the Canadians are helping remote villages of Uttarakhand. So it was that commitment of Government of Ontario to help India, Government of Canada to help India. So many charitable organizations came forward. I was so delighted and I was inspired by them. At the same time, it was an appeal of MP of Uttarakhand and CM of Uttarakhand from Dehradun, saying that, brother, we have a lot of money. Money is not an issue, but we don't have oxygen concentration units and people are dying without oxygen. That touched my heart. And I started collecting like donations. I did my own donation of $30,000 from my family towards the purchase of oxygen concentration units. So our Patrick Brown, our mayor, knows about it, though he never recognized. I don't know why, but that's a different story. That's with Patrick and me. But most of the time, I feel like the mayor and the mayor team should be more interactive with those organizations that really want to help the people in local, provincial, national, and international level. So that lacking is with our mayor right now, that I feel that lacking is there. So I'll come back to JS Bhai later on. So promoting the sports, promoting youth, senior citizens. So since last 1.5 years, almost 18, 19 months, on regular basis, I'm partnering with Saidam Food Bank. That is the largest food bank of Canada. So 25 in Peel, in our 25 buildings are there for seniors. So every weekend, we serve them food, like the package of 2 months food to every door as and when required. So we are doing fundraising, we are doing food bank donation drive. So we are doing our best what we can do to give back to the community. That is the firm belief of mine, that I believe giving back to community is the best way to serve our nation. And this is a dreamland, Canada. It's a wonderful land. It's a wonderful country in the world. So I love Canada. Also, I love India. That is my motherland. So we love Bipul Jani, the region that he tried to coordinate between 2 countries, 3 countries, bilateral, trilateral, and we are always with him. So as and when required, we are always there. So thank you so much. Rest all speakers spoke about it. In addition to this, I'm also the president of that is a CCC, that is a Canadian Asset Management. So what we do, International Asset Alliance, is that consulting company which deals with Government of Ontario, Government of Canada, Government of India to develop and promote the businesses, NPAs, and other areas of practice. So definitely I'll meet one time Mr. J.S. Menon to discuss that how we can help to City of Brampton to promote the businesses. Definitely. So the technology, the business, you name what. So we are working in multiple ways. Not only the law practice, but the social, charity, cultural, sports, and international business setup between 2 or 3 countries. So that's how a brief introduction and brief work what we do. Again, as Mr. Gurneet said, technology is the best way to go ahead for all the nations, not only Canada, for all the nations. And we are committed to serve our community. We are committed to help our City of Brampton, what way it should be, and what way city or mayor want our help, we are always there. So with this, I'll sum up my little bit introduction. So thank you so much. Thanks for each and everyone for your valuable time on weekend to contribute to share your information, your thought, the progress of city. And we are a part of city, and the Thapliyal Foundation Canada is a part of Brampton. It is registered within the City of Brampton. So we are proud of that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Bipul Bhai. Thank you, each and everyone. Thanks, Tejas.
Thank you, Murali. As we just discussed, at the beginning of the session, we will soon be hosting a separate information session with the city in terms of innovation and business and whatnot. And we'll be happy to again coordinate that, with you and with other Brampton businesses.
Thank you.
You can also, again, during the Q&A, we would like to know more about what your foundation is doing, both in India as well as in Canada. So let us bring in the other two speakers first, and then we'll get into the Q&A. So,
Thank you.
Sandeep bhai, I will come to you. Before that, I will introduce Sandeep bhai first, and then to the last speaker, and then the Q&A. So, Sandeep Todi, the co-founder and chief business officer of Truly Financial, the first alternative to global banking built exclusively for small businesses. Sandeep's 30-year career in software development has focused on financial products. He also co-founded Remitr, a Canadian payment solution, in 2016. He is also an investor in startups and a man of multiple talents. So Sandeep bhai, with that brief introduction, over to you.
Thank you, Vipul Bhai, and really delighted to be here, with all the other panelists and attendees today morning. I cannot express enough the kind of amazing work that Vipul Bhai is doing, and just like I'm sure everybody else's experience, I've known him for a few years, and is always I think like working on anything with Vipul Bhai is doing yourself a favor and not doing him a favor. He gives you that opportunity to to really do something which is authentic, which is genuine, and always makes you feel good about it. So thank you so much, Vipul Bhai, for not just the opportunity, but also fortunate to work with you. I think I must express my kind of sorry for jumping in late because I had some other engagement, but I just heard briefly some of the other people, Guneet, Murli Bhai, yourself, and looking forward to others' views as well. One of the key things, and like Vipul Bhai was saying in the introduction, we actually work with a lot of small businesses in Canada and now in the US as well. The one thing that we've seen is many small businesses, and I think Guneet, you touched upon this as well. They do not have the same kind of awareness about technology and what technology can do for them. Sometimes we just take it for granted because we've been just using technology, like on a day-to-day basis for just about everything. But it's these simplest simplest of technologies that can make such a huge difference to them. I want to quote one statistic. This was actually published by the US Small Business Association, but the numbers for Canada are pretty similar. So 76% of international traders in America are small businesses with less than 20 employees. That's a staggering number, right? Now just imagine the power of what these small businesses can do to the economy if they're further supported by technology, and they don't have to face the kind of uncertainties that actually everybody deals with, but the small businesses are most affected by it because they don't have the resources, they don't have the financial strength, they also don't have the team strength, like less than 20 employees. In many cases, actually, it's less than 10 employees. So they also don't have the team strength to figure out what's best for them. And I come from the financial domain. I can talk a lot about what are the problems, challenges that they face on banking, payments, and all of that. But even besides that, these small businesses, and we've seen in the last 18 months, many of actually our own customers, they've diversified. They've started new businesses, or they started something as a side hustle. And today, I can tell you for some, those new opportunities or new businesses that they started have become as strong, if not stronger, than what they were doing earlier. So, the point here is that small business owners are very resilient. They're very creative. All they need is the right kind of support to face challenges and to really do better. Because, like, I don't know about many other people, and I would say more so in the last couple of years, I've started looking at what can we do to support small businesses in every small way, in our own daily lives. Can we buy more from smaller businesses? Can we help out, reach out to them as a community and see what other things we can do, both in our personal and professional capacities. this really is the key, because small businesses not only contribute to the global economy, contribute to jobs. Like which one of us, even if you might be a professional in a large organization, but everybody of us has got an uncle or a cousin or somebody else who's actually running a small business. This is what makes up the economy. And this is also the most severely disadvantaged section of the economy. And that's really kind of the saddest part of it. So really happy to support the activities. I've heard some of you speak about how you're supporting the community and small businesses, and happy to join hands as well. And I don't have anything much more to say, because I wasn't planning on joining for the full session. But anything that the community here feels and we can do as a group, and even from our organization and in a personal capacity as well, it'll be an absolute delight to work with small businesses and the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep Bhai, for those remarks and for joining us today as well. As you know, this is the third session in the Health Forum. We are also running the Education Forum simultaneously with various colleges and universities all across Canada. And now with the next session, we are also adding the colleges and universities from India, as well as from the US as well. So that is also now becoming a trilateral effort from next week. So that brings us to the next and the last speaker of the day, Amit Parikh. Amit Parikh is a Brampton resident, Brampton West resident. Murali ji.
One more voter for 2025.
I know. Well, for those who don't know, Murali Lal ji actually ran for MP in Brampton West on a PC party, platform, and we may still see him as an MP in the near future. So he is in our riding. I am also in Brampton West. Amit Bhai also has a long time IT background, and he is now in the middle of a big time career change and life change, I would say, because of COVID. He is now getting into business, being self-employed, soon launching his own business in the sports and recreation sector. So over to you, Amit Bhai.
Hi guys, thank you very much Vipul and CIDF and Tejas. And it was so nice hearing from all of you, like Gurneet, Jayesh, and Murali Lal and Sandeep. It was always, I'm trying to gather something from everybody's speech. They all are nice speakers. As Vipul said, and thank you Vipul for giving me an opportunity to share my experiences. So as Vipul said, I had a long IT background. I was in IT infrastructure for last 30 years. And as everybody said, the importance of the technology. So I was an integral part of the technology for last 30 years. And I would just like to share a few things. Because of COVID, so many things happened drastically. And I'm living in Brampton. And as Vipul said, I'm planning to open a new business, which is totally different from IT infrastructure. And I'll come back to that. So I would like to share a few of the issues and challenges which I faced with my job and business due to COVID-19. So, but fortunately, any of my family members and friends didn't affect due to COVID in Canada, except few affected in back home in India. But let me share my experience in Canada. So as I said, I have been working in an IT infrastructure manager as an IT infrastructure manager for last 10 years in one of the leading corporate company in Vaughan. So they gave me layoff in June 2020 because the company decided to do restructuring due to COVID-19 pandemic. So after being laid off, I decided that I already spent 30 years in IT. Now, as Murali Lal said, I had a lot of passion to give back something back to the community. At the same time, it should also have a revenue generation. So I had this whole different concept and idea for last 4 years in my back of mind. So I said, this is the right time. Maybe sometime crises are opportunity. So as COVID was a crisis, but it could be an opportunity for me to start something new, which I was passionate about, and I was trying to give back to the society. So I had a launch a new game parlor. It's called Real Joy House, in which I plan to build a different environment with traditional indoor games like board games, pool tables, table tennis, foosball, carom, along with food, all under one roof. And I totally agree with Gurneet and Jayesh and Gunit and everybody said about the technology. So I'm a big fan of technology since I was a part of the technology for last 30 years. So everything has a pros and cons. Everything need to be balanced properly in personal and professional life. That's what my belief is. So when you drive the technology, it gives you the best. But when technology start driving you, it may create some side effect like physical health issue, mental health issue. As I said, technology is the best part, but it need to be properly balanced. So you cannot have overdose of gadget usage or social media and stuff, because we have seen so much of cases increase of physical health and mental health issues. So that also need to be balanced along with the technology. So that's why the concept was my new business was to balance between two worlds, digital world of gadgets, social media, internet, and physical world of traditional games activity. So this may contribute towards reducing overdose of technologies. So that will bring the connection among each other. So once they visit this kind of game parlor, they or the family and friends, they can spend time together and they can enjoy. So that brings the connection. That's the whole idea. Because from July, and let me come back to the consequences I faced while I was launching this business during pandemic. So from July to September, I have renovated when there was not much crisis. The cases were low, and I had this plan, and I had to implement this after I was being laid off. So I have renovated 2,100 square foot site in the Bolton Caledon and prepared the whole game parlor to be launched in November or December. But unfortunately, COVID cases have increased from October onwards, and government decided to do a lockdown in November. So I couldn't open my game parlor in December. Fortunately, I had added a clause of waiving the base rent of property in the landlord agreement in case of lockdown situation occurs. So that helped me. But still, I had to pay TMI, like tax maintenance insurance, and and then my other expenses were business insurance, utilities, phone, TV, internet, all those bills. So government offered benefits like wage and rent subsidies, small business grant, utilities rebate, property tax rebate. But my scenario is a little bit different because I created a company in July, but couldn't open the business prior to the lockdown. So there was no income and no revenue drop, due to which I was not eligible to get either rent subsidy or business grant and loan. But I could at least get a utilities rebate, which is helpful. And I was not able to open it in December. So it was very tough time and a challenging time for me and my family to go through these uncertainties during lockdown. I understand my business is not the only one. There are hundreds and thousands of small business. As Sandeep said, there are so many small business owners around in the area which are suffering due to COVID-19. So I believe, well, this is my belief. Like I believe the situation could have been a little bit better if the government would have paid more attention towards international travel restriction, vaccine and extra ICU ventilators arrangement, and towards some stage-wise opening. But I wouldn't just keep blaming the government and would rather keep cooperating for the vaccination and try to keep following the guidelines with hopes to get over with this uncertain pandemic time. So we just have to, as I said, so everything has pros and cons. So we just have to keep going patiently with positive mindset, clear vision, well-planned roadmap, and just wait for this bad time to end. As someone said correctly, it is very true that every tunnel has a light at the end, no matter how long it is, and every night has a morning to follow, no matter how dark it is. So, as I said, so I'm hoping for my best, and I will try to get help from Jayesh. Just try to take some opinion from Jayesh. That will be helpful for me. And since I'm a small business, new business owner, and I have jumped into the totally different area, but with a clear intention, with a good intention, and to balance the technology like a digital world and the physical world. So I again appreciate Vipul to take this initiative to set up this seminar, and it was nice opportunity to hear all the speaker and try to gain some knowledge and information from all of you. And thank you very much. It was really nice.
Thank you, Amit Bhai. So before we get into questions, let me also recognize the work and the support given by Tejas. He is our coordinator for the Health Forum. And apart from me, he also keeps bugging all the speakers. So, you know.
Thank you, Tejas. Sorry if I forgot. Thank you,
problem.
Tejas and CIDF.
Yeah, sure. So he is my partner in crime here in this Health Forum. So with this, let us get into a few questions. And I will start with Jayesh by first. I will ask you two questions together, and then we'll go to the next speaker. First one is, while most businesses, not most I would say, but many businesses are open, even with a limited capacity, what is happening with the restaurant industry? Because a lot of them have been closed. Not everybody can survive just on takeouts anymore. It's been more than a year just on takeouts, and it doesn't even cover the rent for many in the restaurant business. So if we can talk about what kind of support the city is providing to the restaurant industry in Brampton. The other one is more international. As you support international businesses and companies who want to come to Brampton, so what effect have you seen of the pandemic on the international companies, businesses, investments coming into Brampton over the last 16, 17 months?
Yeah, that's a great question, Vipulji. And before that, I definitely resonate with what Amit was mentioning, Sandeep's thoughts, and of course, we have a wonderful brand asset as Murarlal ji in terms of promoting Brampton through his charity and community work. That's a great thing, So, yeah, coming to the point of, and this may be considered as a generic one, Amit, if you may want to just take a note. I just want to take 2 minutes to just brief you as to what's been happening. And I was on halfway as far as my presentation was concerned, because considering all of other presenters in place. So I would request Tejas to perhaps open up the slide number 4. And I would just like to give you an insight that City of Brampton, our leaders, staff, stakeholders are committed definitely to supporting businesses in this particular challenging time. And as I mentioned about the EGDEV, the Entrepreneur Center team, they're all available to support our community. So particularly, Vipulji, your question on restaurants. We are working with restaurants to embrace new sales channels, such as through the Food Venture program. Now, this program is absolutely a new niche entrepreneurship program for food and beverage startups that are entering the consumer packaged goods and food industry. Of course, this includes the restaurant owners who are wanting to turn their recipes into a consumer packaged goods. So the first program at the end of 2020 had almost over 40 individuals applying, and 20 individuals that completed the program. Of course, the second one is 10 to 12 weeks program running now, and we have almost around 65 people applying for the program and have 20 individual businesses in Brampton in the program. So we are continuing to support restaurants through the Brampton Patio program. working with colleagues. We will definitely work with restaurants in Brampton to expand their patios this summer. And we continue to promote local restaurants and the diversity in the sector through various initiatives like Experience Brampton Guide. So few of the pointers that has been listed over there. You have the patio program webinar that is happening, safe travel stamp, which is again a very interesting one, like City of Brampton Tourism supporting, promoting restaurants and other tourism related businesses in obtaining the safe travel stamp. So these are another way of looking upon. The Rose Theatre itself is one of the first to get the stamp. The food guide, as I mentioned, the food task force. Maybe the next slide, please, Tejas, if you can help me out. Support the local in terms of continuing banners at the market on the construction hoarding in Gash Park, farmers market. These are few of them which I wanted to list them. Social media, we have very, all activations noted will be supported by social media. So you may want to reach out the Brampton Entrepreneur Center. I'll definitely share the links which would be relevant for you. Tax incentives to travel locally that is in place. The next slide. And there are some specific small business video series that you may want to get in touch in terms of understanding what it means for you as a business, you as a retail business within personal care, fitness facilities, etc. So that, you know, that reduces much of an apprehension around in-person shopping. I did wanted to reiterate the fact of the welcome back and rapid testing. So that's all great, you know. Just a quick one to get into the next question of Vipulji, what you mentioned about the international trade. At this point of time, what I wanted actually to touch base is, Murarlaji, that, you know, what is important, we need to keep our energy to the fullest extent, because this is a challenging moment. If we all can be together, if we all can be in a cohort, collaborative way, put in our efforts, that would see a great. And that's what I said. Although City of Brampton's facilities are yet to be opened, the Brampton Center, Entrepreneur Center will be still available virtually. So any of your businesses getting ready to reopen or you're pivoting operations to service the new COVID economy, we are here to help you. And there are some amazing tools and resources you may want to have for Brampton is back to business. And let me reiterate once again that our sector folks, the sector managers, are working closely with our business community to understand how they are being impacted and how we can support our team to help. So the next slide, as I'm putting across, is something just I want to touch base in terms of what it means Brampton sector and what the innovation and tech is all about. And I will touch base on some of the insight of the inward attraction that has been happening. So Brampton, as such, it's on the verge of a significant deliberate transformation. We are energized with new knowledge and inspired by new way of thinking. And this is a great in terms of prioritizing innovation and entrepreneurship to foster jobs and technology breakthrough. So when I was hearing Amit or Sandeep on this aspect, we are here to basically create that kind of a synergy or a platform to give you that ecosystem that would be an enabler for you. So be you are in a startup phase, you are in a scale up or an expansion phase, there are some amazing resources that you may want to explore. There are some of our great incubators and accelerators through our innovation district that you may want to explore about. And let me tell you one important thing. Brampton has such a great, strong competitive position because of its diverse and resilient economic base. If you may understand, our location itself is in the middle of the innovation super corridor that's from Toronto to Waterloo. And that has given us a wonderful traction of new strategic investments. And the recent one that we have done for enabling the foreign businesses to find a great soft landing spot in Brampton is the Beehive, which is a kind of a City of Brampton's collaboration with one of our service provider, Toronto Business Development Center. And what we are providing is a kind of a 6 months, a super hand-holding package where they find themselves to be landing over here, and right from mentoring onwards, getting into helping them on their business plan, including getting a business development order for that matter. This is something that you may want to know about it. And I'm more than happy at some point of time to be throwing some of a wonderful case studies of what it has happened. So last 16 to 18 months, we are super busy. Let me tell you, Vipulji, that when I've been talking about, we are doing a webinar now. Shortly, we will be having our US mission in place sometimes in the month of September, October, and that would see a good number of ways that we connect with our stakeholders at the Fed, at the province level, and make sure that the visibility of Brampton as a centric point for a wonderful business attraction is there. So be it as I put across, be it from an investment perspective, or be it from a retention or an expansion perspective, we are all here to help you guys. So I'm more than happy to extend my support. And if Tejas may help you in flipping the last slide, that would give you the email address of mine, and more than happy to connect with you at any point of time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, JSG. Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks for your extending the help. And I would like to suggest, I told so many times, Patrick, that you know what, we have to think out of box in order to grow faster. So, like, is there any central system where all the entrepreneurs of Brampton, all the professionals of Brampton are registered under? So the city will have access of all those businesses in one shot, in one fingertip. You get all the access of all kinds of people. Is there any common platform in Brampton City where all the charity or charitable organizations are registered? There's a common platform. So what happens when they have, like, Consulate General India office, Toronto office, they have all registered, they have the data of what in Toronto, what people are doing. They have all the data there, because they in their website, they request, okay, register your charity with us, register your organization with us. So that's how our city must do that too. So better common platform of entrepreneurs, the professionals, then the charity organizations, the sports people. So when you in the website is easy for to city to find out the right people to discuss, to advise, to suggest, to come forward, to help community, and we can do better than what we are doing today. That is my just suggestion. Yes. And I suggested Patrick Brown so many times, but I think he is in a rush every time from here, because he is most running one point to another point. Sometimes he catch, sometimes he doesn't catch. That's the problem. But anyway, thank you so much for your inputs. And that is my suggestion to you. If you can advise the Brampton City, that will be better for everyone. Thank you so much.
No, Muralji, thank you so much for sharing that insight. So I would definitely reach out with my folks and figure out what is that would be an enabler for you. And let's have an offline discussion at any point of time. You're more than welcome. Let's have a virtual chat, because we are still not open, but for sure, I would want to have a one-on-one chat with you and give you that insight and whatever that information. That's what I'm saying. I'm reiterating the fact to all our folks. Now, let me tell you, when we say that soft landing point, the municipality or the city happens to be the key attraction for any of the businesses, whether they are looking forward for a possibility of getting into the city. So at the province, at the Fed level, they would be more talking on an aerial perspective, but we are the folks at the ground level. So we can take you through that entire path of business, mitigation of your business plan, what it would be, or for a site selection or whatever that resources can be. And this is where I said, when I chat with some of the startups, as Amit mentioned about it, I would definitely like to know what are the typical kind of a value prop in you. How would you like city to help you? This is a very important slide. I make a point that please make it in your info deck. What is your ask? Because if that ask is clear, it's much easier for me to connect the resources, whether it is RIC Center, whether it is TBDC, whether it is Ryerson DMZ or Rogers Cyber Secure Catalyst. They're such amazing incubators for us. And Muralji, I'll tell you, explore them, man. This is something which Brampton has, and some of them are freebies for you. So this is what
thank you.
Of course, we started off on the agenda of COVID, but as we say, economy recovery strategy is not one man's job of pointing the direction, saying that who would bell the cat. It's a collaborative effort. So when I hear Murari Lalji saying that you are doing a charity work, I salute you, man. You're doing a wonderful job. But together, yes, and together, if we are all together on the same platform, the cruising becomes much easier. It's on the sailing on the line of the direction of the wind, man. So sincerely.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, both of you. In terms of the innovation technology part, Jayashree, I would just like to say we are putting together a major IT conference. We have already done one a couple of years ago. Now we are putting together another IT conference in the first week of September. And it will be nice to promote City at that event. Sandeep, I will reach out to you for that as well, because it will be a trilateral one again. Now we are just about.
Want to, if I have your permission, I'll just take 2 minutes to, add to what Jayesh Bhai was saying. I'll just share my own experience.
Sorry, before that, I would just like to say, I will post one quick question to Murari Lalji and Sandeep and Guneet, and Amit can say, closing remarks if he wants. So we'll have about 7 to 10 minutes and about 4 questions in total. So just to say that, go ahead, Sandeep bhai.
Yeah, I'll just make this very quick. Jayesh bhai, you mentioned about the support from the city and all of that. I can share with everyone here my personal experience. 5 years ago, when we started this business, we were actually supported by DMZ in Toronto, and from there we've grown to a 20+ person company, and we are now launching our business in the US. Being a fintech startup, financial technology is heavily regulated, and we are now launching it in the US. So it's been an incredible journey, and you're absolutely right. Startups have to put forward what is their expectation and what kind of support they need. Support is always available. I think 90% of the time we are too hesitant to ask for it, but it's always there. And I know about you mentioned about TBDC and a few other people as well. Wonderful work that you're doing, and congratulations for that. Just wanted to chime in on
Thank
two
you.
words.
Sure. My opinion is all it takes is perseverance, and you have to keep the follow-ups going on. Sandeep bhai knows, I don't give up. I kept bugging him until he came on board. So that's what you have to do sometimes. It's not that people are not interested or, something like that, but everybody is busy. And sometimes you have to keep reminding them that, hey, there is someone who is trying to bring you on board, who has got some ideas and he needs your support. So those are the things I would suggest. The help is always there. We need to reach out and to share that information. So I will ask a couple of quick questions and then a couple of quick closing remarks. Sandeep bhai, as you said, as Murari Lalji also said, a lot of people have started using technology which they have not done before. Maybe they are forced to because of circumstances, because of the lack of personal meetings, things like that. It's not a matter of choice right now. But I have got 2 observations. One is not everybody is tech savvy. Yes, you have to do things, but what if I'm just not capable of learning anymore, or I don't have the resources, to have the technology, or to outsource it to somebody because I can't afford it. That's number one. Number two, even if I know it, even if I like it, even if I can afford it, there's also now a technology or a Zoom fatigue setting in. People are craving for personal meetings again. People really want to meet, shake hands, have a cup of coffee again. Maybe just meet with somebody without any agenda, just to say hi, just to say that, hey, look, I am still alive. Something like that, So how would you address those 2 things?
So the question for me?
Yeah, Sandeep.
Okay.
No, go ahead, please.
Yeah, there's, I mean, what do you have to say about that? You know, the technology fatigue and the
I would say,
capability, willingness to adapt
yeah,
technology.
I could say both are very good and kind of really relevant problems. In fact, just like Wednesday this week, we hosted a webinar at our company about the challenges of remote work, and we had about 40 people attending that, which was really good. And these were like people of many different diverse backgrounds, both technology and non-technology companies. So the real problem, the Zoom fatigue, is a real problem. There are many creative ways to solve that, both within the company as well as uh, creating an environment where meetings is not just the way to run your business. And this is actually a much bigger topic. I'm happy to share some more information which can circulate to people offline. But really creating an environment where we as business owners and managers give our teams enough room and leeway to do their job and not just be expecting to be in meetings every day. Because the 1:1 translation of being in office is, okay, let's get into a meeting, right? But that is not productive, and it's increasingly leading to a situation where people are feeling the stress and anxiety of being on a meeting. It's not just about the time loss, it's also the anxiety. So that definitely needs to be addressed. In terms of the accessibility and affordability of technology, I would say, talk to the younger people, talk to your kids also. You'll be amazed how much kids know these days. And I'll give you one personal experience. My daughter knows more about Instagram than I do. So when I'm actually asking her about marketing on Instagram, she's telling me how to do it. And my job is technology, right? And I'm taking guidance from her. So technology is actually a great leveler. No matter how much experience you have, you cannot know everything. So reach out to other people, who are with that technology, and you'll always find there's many low-cost ways and often free ways to use technology, whatever you want to do. I think Murli bhai, you were mentioning about digital signatures, right? You can buy digital signature systems for like $200 a month. You can also buy it for $0 a month. Your job will still get done. It's the level of convenience that you want. So there are many different creative ways to do it. Always look at what you can do at zero cost first before you start spending money on it.
Sure. So in terms of Instagram, my 17-year-old daughter, she helps me out with Instagram, even for the forum as well. And I keep bugging her every third day with the same question for the last 16 months. And she has still not answered me. I keep asking her, how much is the weight of Instagram? How many kilograms? So, so anyway, I mean, jokes apart, two quick points. Guniji, you are into media. So even prior to the pandemic, we were looking at a changing landscape for the traditional media. It was becoming more and more digital anyway, from print to digital. Now you are into digital space big time. So brief remarks from you. I mean, what change, I would say, have you seen over the last 16, 17 months? Has it really sped up the process? Is print media now a thing of the past, really? Or is this like a temporary phase? What has been your personal experience? Brief.
So I went to journalism school in Kamloops in Canada, and I used to work for a print newspaper. This was like 10 years ago. Print media died 5 years ago. Point. Like literally print media had no option 5 years ago. We already past that time space. Currently, just before pandemic, people's biggest source of information moved away from traditional news media sources to the social media companies like Facebook, Twitter. People were getting all their news on those platforms. I think the last 18 months and the pandemic and how the media management has been, or media consumption has been, people have started again moving from the social media like Facebook and Twitter back to the news sources, because there has been a widespread media misinformation that has happened over the last 18 months. A lot of it is is political, people's biases, some other things are non-political, COVID vaccines. There's so many information out there. It's hard for people to identify the real sources or the true sources, right? There has been also, I wouldn't go into this rabbit hole of who was what, but people have seen the big media corporations like CNN or NBC, who have not been up to the mark, or they have hadn't held media journalistic standards. People have also moved away from that part. Technology can something provide is that one of the things that we are building is that we are building a multilingual platform for people, especially from South Asian background. So we are building a platform for English, Hindi, Punjabi, Gujarati. We're adding some of the languages. We might do Telugu in the future. So we are adding those languages for people to come in and access information, which is already there, but in their own language. That has been linguistic, has also been a big part of the people's journey to get media consumption, because people rely on New York Times, Washington Post, but there has been evidences, there has been facts that they have claimed information which has been not truth, like even the big corporations like New York Times or Washington Post. So who to believe, who not to believe is the biggest part. A recent change that Canada has gone through, even Australia, is that now the government is forcing Facebook and Google to pay the media companies for the news information sources. And this is another change. A lot of these companies, but the other part on that side is that they only approve those companies who only favor their own way of presenting news. So the voices are not being out there. I follow a lot of conservative voices in the US, a lot of liberal voices around the world, but there has been a big part of this being that media has been it's just been all over the place for people to do it. I again go back to the part that where do people get the information? People get the information over the phone, over the internet, over the technology. And I think that right now it is still in evolution phase of people going back, because print journalism, I have worked in print journalism. Like 20 years ago, 18 years ago, I used to work for Times of India in India. I worked them for 2 years, and I used to get published every week. I used to get 4 articles published, 4 stories published. Print, it was all it matters, right? People believe what they see in their hands. I think that has moved away from technology. My mom is retired. She just retired from her government job. She was a teacher for all those years. She can pay online. She can order food online, and she's happy doing it. Like, she's just loved the part of doing all that part and learning new ways of doing it. And even her news sources has changed, which is fine. And I think people will go through that part. Technology will again play the part. It's a constant evolution of technology as well, and accepting new behaviors. We will keep going back and forth and disrupting new ways of doing it, putting it all back together, and again, disrupting it. So I think a constant change we'll see. Pandemic has, of course, given that push for people to come forward and manage the information sources. However, people will find new solutions in the future. People will adapt to them, and then it will again break it down, and then they will again come back together. I think media will do that for continuing for next 10 years until we find, and yes, print has died. Of course, nobody wants to pick up a paper on the newsstand. I have across my window, there's 4 newsstands, and I've seen no one using that newsstand anymore. So that's not going to happen 100%. And now even COVID, no one wants to touch some other thing, right? People are always sanitizing their hands. They don't want to touch something that somebody else has touched anyway. So I think that's going to go back to that.
Okay, sure. So just 2 more 30-second closing remarks. Murari Ralji, you are based in Brampton. Your foundation is also registered in Brampton, as you mentioned, and you are doing a lot of charitable work regarding the pandemic, both within the city as well as in India. So if you can tell us in the next 30 seconds, sorry, we are over time. In the next 30 seconds, if you can tell us where can people find more information about the work you are doing, and if somebody, residents of Brampton or businesses in Brampton, wants to participate or support, how do they do it?
30 seconds. So it's a www.thapliyal.foundation.ca. There's a website where all these news serving the hot meals to the Brampton Civic Hospital, or in recognition in token of their appreciation of the work, frontline workers, medical staff, or whether it's helping the seniors, helping the youth, helping the homeless people. All information is in the website.
Can you type it in the chat box?
Sorry?
This one, www.thaplayal.
So I believe,
I just sent it.
yeah. So
Okay,
I believe
thank you.
Jayesh Bhai wanted to make some closing remarks. 30 seconds, please. And
Yeah,
then,
Vipul, thanks once again for giving us this opportunity. And as I mentioned, a recap, just a quick one is for all entrepreneurs, for all those folks who have that entrepreneurial vision in place, you guys have got that plan in place, you have that value prop in place. All that it matters to you is that convert into a roadmap of what you want to do it for the city, from a perspective of city to an international market, and come to me with a specific ask of how do you want to make that as an enabler. So this, although I'm saying an inward attraction I'm into, but my folks within the actives are there to help you run through that entire path. And just a concluding way to put across a Pareto's curve, as we mentioned, about 80-20%, at least put 10% of your efforts in strategically looking forward how you can expand your vision. That's very important. And with that, I sincerely thank Tejas and Vipulji for this opportunity. And it's awesome to connect with all the presenters. And I hope the viewers had a good time in knowing additional information. Bye for now.
sure. So
Thank
let's
you.
just recognize our sponsors one last time. Tejas, you want to say something?
Yeah, we'll just do a quick screenshot. So if everyone can look, smile at the count of 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Okay. 1 second. Okay.
It's a
Vipulji,
recovery.
go ahead.
Colgate smile is important, huh?
Well, the speaking part was free. If you want your screenshot, that's $250.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Thanks, everyone.
Anyway, no, thank you everyone
Thank
for
you so much.
participating today, for sharing your views, experiences, opinions. We'll be happy to reconnect again to promote, people like Murari Rao ji, his foundation, Sandeep ji, a lot of people doing a lot of good work within the city and beyond in Canada and India. So we thank everyone. So once again, before we close, the Health Forum is supported by the City of Brampton's Advanced Brampton Fund, Truly Financial, Blue Umbrella Financial Services, Greens Life Sciences, Tangentia, and Process Research Vortec. This was session number 3 of a 12-part virtual Brampton Health Forum. And we have got 9 more sessions coming up. There are 3 more in July, 4 in August, and 2 in September. And they are on YouTube, they are on Facebook Live, they are also posted on all social media. And so once again, that's it for today. Thank you all the speakers, and see you again soon.